Hi, today I'm joined by professional fire risk assessor Andy Leather, and today we're going to be looking at fire safety procedures in relation to fire risk assessments or FRAs in churches. Andy, when looking at the management of fire safety within a church, what procedures and arrangements can a church make?
Well, I'd be looking to make sure that there is a management process in place, that the procedure is well documented and written, and it's been tested as well. We need to make sure people know what to do. Also, that procedure should be communicated to all relevant people. So, for example, the fire wardens or regular users of the church, for example, a school. And also, we must make sure that they've considered the disabled occupancy and to make sure we can get those persons out of the building if necessary.
And what procedures are actually in place within this church?
Well, we do have fire wardens in place. The significant issue is, though, that we do not have a written, documented procedure in place to tell people what they should be doing and what's expected from them. This is very common in churches. Generally speaking, a person becomes a fire warden, but they may not have any training or know the procedure that's in place. It's important to get it documented and well communicated.
Okay, and what should be included in that fire safety procedure?
Well, the key purpose is to make sure we can successfully evacuate. So evacuation is one of the key elements of the document. However, we need to make sure that it covers all things. So, for example, disability, ensuring that that procedure includes that. Also, roles and responsibilities. Who's going to do what? That will be part of it. And part of those roles is who's going to test the equipment, who's going to check that the extinguishers are in the right place for the right reasons. And lastly, there could be building specific features like the doors open inwards, and we need to make sure that that's going to be managed, but we need to tell people how to manage it effectively.
And could you tell me a little bit more about occupancy numbers in relation to fire safety procedures?
Sure, it's the most common question that I get asked by people is how many people can I have in my building? The way to work this out is you go back to your fire risk assessment. When you conduct your fire risk assessment, you look at the occupancy. On looking at the occupancy, we then have to go off to the guidance, which is the community's local government that's relevant to the premise. So in the case of a small church, it would be small to medium place of assembly. Once we've done that, we measure our doors, and there's a table that will tell us how many people we can get out of a door in a given time. So the answer to the question is, the maximum number of people you can get in your building is the maximum number of people you can get out of the building.
You mentioned fire wardens earlier. What role do they play in maintaining fire safety within the church?
Well, the fire wardens are vital to ensure that things are managed correctly. Generally speaking, within the church environment, they are volunteers. So it's important they're trained rather than just given the job to do. That way they can totally fulfil their responsibilities by ensuring that they do the right things at the right time for the right reasons.
So how many fire wardens should there be within a church or a church service?
Well, it would depend upon the size of the event and the number of people present. What our obligation is to make sure we've got enough people to facilitate that evacuation, that everybody leaves the building in the required time.
And what training would a fire warden require?
Well, they require appropriate training. Some of this would be formal training, for example, on a training course, but it should be relevant to the role and responsibility they will take. However, the key to it is procedure, so they must be trained in the correct procedure. And this will vary from event to event. So for a larger event, some churches, for example, may have 1,100 people within the church. You need to make sure that you cover that as well by having briefings before that large event. You can also do tabletop exercises where you go through the procedure and the event with the members of staff or the fire wardens that are present. Because let's face it, we wouldn't want to do a fire drill in the middle of a wedding, would we?
All this is really useful information, Andy. Are there any other points that we should look at?
A key thing is when a third party may hire the venue. So it could be for a concert from the local school, for example. We need to make sure they understand their responsibilities to be able to evacuate the premises. But most importantly, all of this comes from regular rehearsals, regularly practicing things that we need to do to facilitate an evacuation and the roles and responsibilities of the fire wardens.
That's brilliant, Andy. Thank you.